Okay, where to start? Alright, well, no, I didn't quit YouTube. Um, I didn't leave Twitch very quickly. Nothing happened in that regard. I'll try and make this quick. This is my fourth attempt trying to record this damn video. First time it was pretty much done and the power kicked out on me. The reason for my absence was not one of my own choice. What happened was, as some of you know, I'm not ashamed to admit this, I have a condition called multiple sclerosis. And I have to get a medication every month in order to keep it under control. And that's not what happened. Basically, I needed an MRI for the medication. And I didn't get the MRI. At the time, the day prior, my father went to the hospital, had a lot of other things going on, and I just didn't make it to the MRI. So when I went in for my infusion, they denied me. They turned me away. My neurologist PA had told them that I can't get the medication because I didn't get the MRI. The problem with that is when you're on Tysabri, which is a medication, when you're on it for so long, your body becomes so dependent on it that your body can go into, it can have a flare up. Well, because that PA decided no, because when I went in, it was initially for another Solumedrol round of them for 3 days, a steroid, an IV steroid. And because I came in and said, no, I'm here for my Tysabri, not Solumedrol, they called him and he gave them the red light. He told them no, because I didn't get the MRI. An MRI is not a reason to deny somebody the Tysabri medication, especially one that has been on so long, and was hitting the 2-month mark, was approaching it. So, and the reason why was because I did have a minor flare-up the other month, and I had to have a small round of the steroids to bounce back from it. And my neurologist is one of those who believes that you can't get the Tysabri a month after you get the steroids. So that's where that circumstance came in. So he denied the medication, and because there was the confusion, I couldn't get the steroids. So I had to go home. I scheduled the MRI, which was 2 weeks later. And of course, that 2-week mark, when I got it done, was the 2-month mark without getting my medication. And it was a Friday, so I had to wait all weekend, and I started noticing symptoms of a flare-up almost immediately on Saturday. So Monday rolls around, I call my neurologist, his PA, and never hear back. I call Tuesday, never hear back. Wednesday, I get a hold of him, and I called him the wrong name on one of the messages. So the smartass that he was, when I talked to him, he flat out said, oh yeah, I didn't call you back because I didn't know you were calling from me. You said the wrong name. Just joking. I think he realized that the silence in my voice was me restraining myself from smashing the phone or breaking the damn thing in half. Because that pissed me off, because I noticed the symptoms. I was having a hard time walking, a hard time standing. It's nothing to fuck around with. So he flat out told me he would have the doctor take a look at the results. 4 hours later, the office left. Never looked at him. So Thursday rolls around, and I'm calling the main office because this guy is clearly a dick. Had problems with him before, prior to this. And the main office tells me, oh yeah, the doctor is in. We'll get it over to him right away. 2 hours later, the office leaves. I call, oh yeah, he left early. Are you kidding me? So, left early. Friday rolls around. I'm waiting. I call earlier in the day. Oh, okay, I'll let the doctor know. I'll have him get back to you. Okay, cool. Awesome. There might be a chance that I'm not going to end up fucked up. Nope. I call back 1 hour beforehand. Oh, yeah, the doctor is just finishing up his one patient. I'll go talk to him immediately. No call back. That Sunday, I went to the hospital, unable to walk. I could barely even stand. They do a 5-day round of Solumedrol. By day 2, I was feeling good. Day 3, I started to feel like crap. Day 5, I was even more screwed up than when I went in and when the IV started. I guess, I forget if it was 500 or 5,000 milligrams. I'm thinking it was like 500. I could be wrong. Could be 5,000. I just forget. This whole thing has been a total fucking blur. But, yeah, from there I went into physical therapy rehab. Physical rehab. I guess is the way to put it. Not drug rehab. But went there, and I was at John Hines, I'd say, for a month. Yeah, it was about a month I was there. I didn't like it there. That's where I went the last time I had flare-ups, like 5 years ago. I had two massive ones back to back, and that's why there was such a gap in the site at one point, and why I was doing video reviews instead of text, because I could not type because of that flare-up. That's what happened there. But basically, the John Hines curriculum, I guess you would call it, has changed dramatically. It used to be a little more catered to your needs. This time it was a checklist, and the therapist basically went one by one following the checklist for your issue. And mine was MS, inability to walk. And they had more focus there on using a wheelchair going around the gym when it came to physical therapy, which was meant for the legs, than actually working on my legs. And there was a major problem there. I was just getting worse because I still hadn't gotten my Tysabri infusion because, well, I just got steroids, so I gotta wait a month. You're only screwing me up worse by delaying it. But I went to John Hines around, I think it was November 8th, I think it was. I forget the exact date. But I got kicked out around the end of November. I wound up going into the hospital because all the medication they put me on, if I had the slightest pain, if I had the slightest thing wrong, they threw me on a medication. And because of all that, at least from what I'm understanding, it could very well be something else, but from what I understand, all the medication caused minor kidney failure. So I had to go to the hospital for, I think it was 3 or 5 days. 3, if I remember right. And I got pumped full of just saline to kind of get the kidney back up and running. And if that didn't help, I would have to go through chemo. Thank God it didn't come to that. But that final day, they come to tell me I got kicked out of John Hines. Excuse me, I had to think for a second. My insurance basically said, fuck you, you're done. Oh, okay, awesome, great, thanks. Cool. Where do I go from here? Because I couldn't go home. I could not walk, I couldn't move. Light as a feather, stiff as a board, basically. Like that kind of thing. Except I wasn't light, I'm a heavy man. At the time I was 280 because all the fluids they were pumping me full of, inability to walk, all that fun stuff, I gained at least 25 pounds. I wasn't really that light a person to begin with. So it came down to I had to choose skilled nursing elsewhere, i.e. a nursing home that had therapy. I'm not going to say the name of this place because I do not, under any circumstances, want anything more to do with them. But I wound up going to a local nursing home / skilled rehab facility. As soon as I got in there, the room smelled. Everything was dingy and dirty. And my mother actually brought stuff down from John Hines. And I looked her square in the eye and said, I do not want to be here. I don't want to be here. And I went to put in for a change tomorrow. I want to. I is what I said. Not went. Want. The next day rolled around. I gave up. I just looked at everything and said, you know what? Screw it. I'll give this a shot. Met up with the therapy team. Very nice guys. And they really helped me out through this whole situation. They really did, after months of therapy, finally got me on my feet. And by the time I was getting kicked out, I was kind of walking with a walker. I had the determination, but my body just didn't have the strength. And yeah, it just... I'm still fucked up. I'm currently sitting in a wheelchair. I am still unable to walk. But, or even stand, to be perfectly honest. I mean, at this moment, I can kind of stand, but I'll get to that in a bit. During my time there, that place was beyond filthy. The state had been called a number of times. Family called. Dana, my fiance, she called. I called. There was no reason for the level of filth that I saw there and neglect. It was terrible. I mean, the response time alone was god awful. My roommate at one point had to go into the hospital because they weren't really doing anything with him outside of therapy. They would just leave him there. And he wound up having so many blood clots, he had to go to the hospital, and according to his wife, have so many tubes put in him. And it was like a month and a half later he got out of the hospital, and then he had to start all over in another rehab facility. And yeah, I don't mean to sound like a total ass. I'm glad he's okay. But that month and a half was very nice because I got the room to myself. And it allowed me time to kind of cool down, relax, unwind, keep my sanity. But when your aides are so thin, like the amount of them that you have for how many people were in that place, 2.5 hour waits when you hit the emergency button is not at all acceptable. And I kept telling Dana, I kept telling anybody that would listen, what if I had a heart attack? What if I had an asthma attack? Because I confiscated my inhaler, I wound up having one of them sneak one in. I flat out told them, you're not taking this away from me, when they found it. One nurse did find it and took it. I had one of the aides, one of the only ones that really gave a damn in the evening, go grab it and bring it back. I basically lied and said that was Dana's inhaler, it's not mine. You have to bring it back. That was the only reason. Thanks for killing me, I apologize. The only reason I got to keep it. And yeah, it's just that response time. Let me put it this way. If anything went wrong, it's just a button and the light goes off out front. The aides and nurses were known to randomly disappear. There was one time, because of the hospital stay for my minor kidney failure, because of the flare-up I had, I couldn't really feel much from the waist down. One of them flicked off a cap to something. I don't know what it was. It was a cleaning solution, I guess. And it fell in my brief. I was stuck wearing diapers for months. Still am. But it fell in the brief. I fell asleep on it. I was laying on it. I don't know how long. Probably all day. All night into the day or whatever. And I believe that was the night I was being discharged from the hospital when I got back to the nursing home. It fell out while I was getting cleaned up. Suffice it to say, that led to a pressure cyst. I believe that's what it was called, pressure cyst on my left cheek. 6 weeks of a wound vac. And I say this because around midnight, every night, all but one aide who will go around and hand out water will go out for a 30-minute smoke break. So nobody was here. And the one night, they didn't put it on right, and the thing popped right off, and I was in a lot of pain because it was sucking at a spot that, I don't know, it pinched it really bad or something. So I'm in a lot of pain. Thankfully, Dana was there, and I told her, you gotta go find somebody. This is killing me. So 10 minutes later, the nurse comes in to find out what's wrong. 20 seconds, I'd say, after she comes in to take a look at it and fix this problem, another aide comes in and says that somebody a few rooms down fell out of bed and has been lying on the ground for they don't know how long. So they left me to go deal with that emergency, and I think it was another 40 minutes later they finally came back because they had to do paperwork. Couldn't do anything until the paperwork was done. So here I probably had the most insane hickey on my left ass cheek. But yeah, that just shows that's one example of the level of care. Another example, we were just hanging out one night, and we just saw all the aides and nurses running down the hall. And next thing you know, we're hearing they're putting a call in for an ambulance to come and pick this one lady up and take her to the hospital. I think it was a lady. But it turns out we overheard one of the aides saying, you know, she was acting weird all day. I thought she was just being problematic. You know what that problematic situation was? She was having a fucking stroke, and they ignored it. Yeah, level of care. And as far as I was concerned, in their eyes, a lot of them, I'm 31 years old, male, and of sound mind. I'm the last of their concerns. I can fend for myself. Yes, I heard that. I had one aide who actually took a liking to me and my family come up to me and say, because of my age and because somebody filed a report that wasn't me, they thought it was me, I was a problem resident. So they started to avoid me until I raised a stink and said that's bullshit. It got to the point where if I needed something, they left me in the bed for 12 hours once. And for somebody who is trying to rebuild his leg muscles, staying in bed for over 12 hours is not a good thing. I'm talking after I woke up. So tack on probably another 6 to 8 hours on top of that. I didn't get out of bed that night because I needed assistance. I could not stand. I couldn't do anything. They had to use a full Hoyer lift to lift me. I was like a fucking wrecking ball. It took 12 hours because they were so understaffed and they were too busy. They wouldn't do anything until my mother called because she was the only one around at that time. They would ignore all of my cries unless a family member called and complained, and then they would pay attention. Why am I telling you all this? The reason being, never in my life will I send any of my loved ones to a nursing home. Never. The experience was hell. I really can't even begin to describe. These are just a few of the things that happened. I can't even begin to describe how horrible it was. I mean, 2, 3 to a room. You get no goddamn privacy. I've seen more dicks than I ever cared to. It was horrible. I can't tell you how long I had to physically suffer. Unless a medication was scheduled, I didn't get it. Like, not didn't get it, but most of the time, I actually didn't get it, especially overnights. There were times where I would put in for medication. 2.5 hours later, I would continue asking for it. I never get it. A painkiller, so to speak, for after therapy. We'll go with that. 2.5 hours later, I just say, fuck it, I'm going to go to bed in pain. I'll sleep through it. And then nothing gets done. And on top of all that, I think, I don't know for certain because I don't want to know the answer. I believe the one nurse that really went out of her way to make sure I was in good health got fired for helping me. I will admit she kind of went a little too far. I had I don't know what it was. I had a lump or something on my right leg, a cyst or something, and I complained about it for well over a week. I got so pissed off, I finally asked for that nurse if she was on to come in and take a look at it. She took a look at it, and basically the mood went from, okay, let me see what it is, to just grim, like I thought I was going to die almost. And she popped it. I tell you what, the next day I was in so much pain, I couldn't even go to physical therapy. And the aide that she was training ratted her out, and she came in the next day, not the morning after, but the day after, came in and flat out told me, don't say anything, she's on the verge of being fired. And I hadn't seen her since. So I think, no, I take that back. I saw her for a week, and after that I never saw her. So I think she actually did get fired for helping me. She kind of did go a little over the line when she popped that, but at the same time, she was the only one that actually gave a damn. I also went through 2 STD scares because of how dirty that place was. I was having urinary issues from when I was at John Hopkins. And I had a catheter in for months. It only just came out maybe like like 2 weeks prior to my discharge. And when I went into the hospital for the kidney failure, they said that the whole urinary retention thing, they thought it might be an STD. So they ran an STD test to make sure I was clear. But they thought it might be that, because they've gotten bad reports about how filthy that place is. And then I recently went back to the hospital for an unrelated issue, and they wanted to do another STD test to make sure the pain that I was having wasn't an STD, which thank God it wasn't. 2 2 scares, not one. It should have been 0, but 2 from this one place for being there. Total of 6 months. I should not have had. I shouldn't have had any. And on top of that, the initial doctor I had down there that was taking care of me, with the Foley that I had in, there were. I don't even know what it was. It was like a brown discharge coming out. I could see in the tube. I knew something wasn't right. I mean, who the hell pisses brown, chunky discharge? You know, so I knew something wasn't right. I was worried it was an STD of some kind. To which I would have blamed probably the hospital with how long it would have taken for it to kick in, but it wasn't. A lot of the aides kept coming in, and the nurses, they kept saying, "Oh, that's normal." I'm like, who the fuck pisses brown, chunky discharge? The doctor that was in, she came, took one look at it, and said, "Oh, that's normal. That's normal. That's just from having a Foley, and it's irritation." Any irritation? No, not. So I kept insisting for weeks, please take a urine sample and a culture. Came back, I had a UTI. They treated me for it. Didn't go away. Continued complaining and complaining and complaining. Guess what? I went septic. I had to go back to the hospital. And that was a fun fucking visit. Going to the hospital. They do a UTI test again. And it came back positive for a UTI. It was the same one, never went away. It just advanced to the point where I was in a lot of trouble. And the infectious disease doctor also ran a MRSA test. And it came back positive. However, it was contaminated. He even said it was contaminated. So he wanted to run a secondary test. Before he ran that secondary test, that dumbass gave me the MRSA medication. I think you can see where this is going. The MRSA medication went into my system, so he couldn't run a second test. Meaning I had to take MRSA medication for the MRSA I didn't have. Which meant an entire week of just liquid waste pouring out of me. Zero control. Nausea. Nearly vomiting every day. It was pure hell. So I finally... They finally cleared me. I did not want to go back to the nursing home with not PICC line, the whatever the hell the thing is called. They run it through in your arm. They go through the veins. It goes all the way over here. I forget the name for it. And they have a little PICC line thing right here. I think it is PICC line. I don't know. It's 2:15 in the morning, and I'm tired. But I didn't want to go with that because I didn't trust them. I did not trust this place one bit with running an IV for the UTI and the MRSA that I didn't have. But I get back, and I look at the one nurse, and I asked him, "Hey, do I have a roommate?" Turned out I had a roommate. On top of that, I had a mentally retarded roommate, an MR. And he wasn't bad. I'm not complaining about that. The staff was the problem with that, but I'll get to it in a second. So I come in. I got Dana. I got family. We're all sitting down. We're all trying to calm down from the hell that was that hospital experience. And the nurse comes in and tells me, I've looked right at him. I said, "I've been diagnosed with MRSA. And there's no way to tell if I have it or not. You might want to tell the gentleman in the bed next to me and might want to isolate me." He said, "Oh, we didn't get any paperwork about that. Hold on, I'm going to call the hospital and check." So he calls the hospital, comes back. "Oh, you don't have MRSA. It was a contamination. That's all it was. It was contaminated. You don't have it." So I had a brief 5-minute breakdown. What did they do? They called the doctor to sedate me. Over a 5-minute, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me, mental breakdown. I didn't yell at anybody, but the one nurse, not the guy that came in, the other overnight nurse, was saying that I was yelling at them, at the nurse, at her, and the staff, and they wanted to sedate me. This is the only time that doctor did anything right by me and just flat out told them, "No, that doesn't sound like him." And it wasn't. It was just a little mental breakdown. And, yeah, I fired that doctor and went with somebody else, and pretty much everything got taken care of right away. I started making progress. I got better, except prior to discharge. The medication they prescribed was literally tearing my stomach apart. So I had to go off of that. I went on a medication they gave me prior to leaving, and that medication being prescribed, that didn't quite finish dealing with the problem. So went to the hospital a couple days ago, and they told me I was clean. I was fine. All the tests came back negative for anything. So I went and got my regular follow-up exam with the family doctor, and she looked right at me and said, "Why they discharged you is beyond me. They never should have. They, especially with nothing. I was having a lot of pain in that area up to the stomach, and turned out I had cystitis, I believe is what it was called. Basically a UTI, a pretty bad one again. And due to the UTIs being poorly treated while there, a number of kidney stones, which have been very fun to freaking pass. I've passed 6 so far, and they're still coming. So my bladder, essentially, according to her, was a total disaster area. It's a mess. So I did not receive the proper care I desperately needed outside of therapy. And on top of that, I had mentioned the MR roommate that I had. Very, very nice guy, don't get me wrong. Unless he didn't like you for some reason, you turned your back, he called you bitch and everything like that behind your face, or behind your back. But other than that, he was a nice enough guy. We got along very well. No major problems. It was just his sisters that really pissed everybody off. And they drove aides out of the room when I was the one hitting the buzzer for help. They were driving them out of the room, and I half the time wouldn't get my medication because they didn't want to deal with that. But the night shift staff was a massive problem with this guy because he liked to sing. He didn't know better. So at 1 o'clock in the morning, they would come in and wake him up. And they go, "Oh, come on, sing." And he would start doing his singing. And they would rile him up. Then they would leave. And I had to lay there dealing with him, especially when I had therapy the next day, early in the morning. And a lot of times he would have to go somewhere for treatment. And they'd wake him up at like 5:30 in the morning to get him ready. I'm right next to him. I'm waking up at 5:30 with the guy. Come 8 o'clock, he's gone. I have therapy in 2 hours. I got maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep max, which just made therapy even harder. There was no consideration for anybody in that place, it seemed like. And then, on top of that, I had some real, just shit roommates, I guess you could say. Some were really nice, don't get me wrong. The first one that I had, we got along very well. I forget the one that I just told you about. I forget his name. Sonny, I believe it was, but I think that was a nickname of his. He was a nice enough guy to deal with. But the two worst, I got a retired cancer doctor, who I will refer to as Dr. Dickhead. All he did was cause problems. All he did was yell at the staff, berate, belittle. He was a sexist bastard. When I say that, I mean random comments like, "Oh, why do you women have to keep putting things out of the man's reach? Why do you have to keep doing that?" Or the one cleaning staff person that came in, "Oh, you broke my phone. You knocked my phone off the table and you broke it. I gotta call and have you deported, you bitch. How could you do that? Why do you do that? Why did you move it out of my reach? I can't reach it there. You broke my phone. You broke my blah 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 blah." All he had to do was turn it on. It was fine. Never apologized once. Tore the one nurse and the one aide. The two, I should say. I mean, I got yelled at for doing this once. The two members of this place actually gave a damn. He tore them a new one because the nurse was bringing pain medication around and she had an emergency come up. And then the one aide, he tore her a new one. She didn't even do anything. It was the other one. The one that I almost laughed in her face. She, when I came back from the hospital, she looked right at my mother and told her, "Oh, don't worry, I'm taking good care of him." My arm right here, rubbing my shoulder and everything. Like, "I'm taking good care of him. I'm making sure he's okay." I almost burst out laughing. She was the one that left me sitting in my own shit for 6 hours because she never responded to the bell and then said, "Oh, I'll be right back," and then just never came back. She got rid of for that. She left me sitting in my wheelchair for 8 hours straight, knowing damn well I had, because of the pressure cyst in the wound vac, had to get back into bed. Left me there for 8 hours, 6 hours longer than I actually was supposed to by doctor's orders. Got rid of for that. And yeah, she said, "Oh, I'm taking good care of him," and offered to come down and take care of me if we paid her. That wasn't happening. No way in hell. And on top of all that, I overheard that one nurse that I told you about that actually gave a damn about me, tearing her a new one for beating her daughter. Yeah, I really want a child abuser in my fucking apartment. not my apartment, Dana and I, but either way. Like, I really want somebody like that associated with us in any way. I was glad when she just went missing. Nobody knew. Like, nobody would tell me anything. I hadn't seen her for so long. So, anyhow, getting back to Dr. Dickhead. He always fought me with the heat. He wanted it to 78. My condition requires it to be moderately cooler. I was willing to go 71 heat. It was the winter. No, that wasn't enough for him. He came back from a doctor appointment once, and there's a company around here called Transmed that will take you to appointments. He looked at the driver and told him he wanted it cranked up to 80. And the Transmed guy just looked at me because he had to deal with me once before. He knew it needed to be a certain condition. He looked at, no, it cannot be that high, no. So he just walked away. He said, I can't do it. They even put a note on the unit saying it cannot be any lower than 65 or any higher than 71. So he wandered over there in his wheelchair, he turned it up to 80, and that was that. Hit the buzzer, told the nurse it's too hot, and they just turned it right back down, because fuck him. And then for about a week, this went on. I would go to therapy, I'd come back, it's like a friggin' oven. There's a Holocaust joke in that I'm not going to make. But I'm pretty sure you can figure it out. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Finally, the last day he was my roommate. The one nurse was working with the cyst on my buttocks, and he was yelling at one of the aides to turn the heat up. Oh, I'm cold. And she said, I can't do that. It needs to be at a certain temperature because your roommate has a medical condition and needs to be a certain temperature. I don't give a fuck about my roommate. I don't care about him and his health. I'm cold. I want it turned up. Well, the nurse, I happened to look over. Her eyes bugged. She stopped working with me and went right over and said, you know what? If it's that much of a problem, we have somebody leaving today. We'll put you in a room with that person. Is it going to be warm? It'll be as warm as you want it. This is why I think he's a contradictory asshole. Because he got into that room, and that roommate liked it hot. He had it to 80 degrees. He started bitching it was too hot, and he wanted it lowered to 71. Now, I had no problem with this guy other than him being a total dick, a bit of a racist, and a sexist pig. Well, maybe not pig. Sexist asshole is the way to put it. And he fought everybody. One person wanted it one way, he had to have it the other way. The reason why I said there was a Holocaust joke in there, I am so sorry, but this guy was the definition of stereotypical Jew. And I'm not racist. I'm not against people of certain faith or belief, however you want to word it. Oh my God, the only thing this guy was missing was that voice. Sometimes he hit that. I just sat there, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Again, you see where I don't want to make that joke, but it got to that point. He had to have a contradictory of everything. It's just, he was a dick. He really was. I mean, I just can't even figure out any other way to explain it. I've never dealt with anybody like that in my life. And then, not the roommate that followed. The roommate that followed was awesome. Reminded me of my uncle who passed away when I was a kid. Very nice. If we were down in therapy together, if he came, when I came back to the room, or if he came back after me, the one time, I'll never forget this, he came up and said, you did good down there. You did really good. You'll get back on your feet in no time. That blew my mind. The whole 6 months I had been there, nobody did something like that. And it just felt like my uncle. But then the guy that followed, holy crap, I guess he was sick. But towards the end, he wasn't that much of a pain. We were fighting over the heat at one point, but eventually he just left the room, went down to the dining room, watched TV there, or had a coat on and everything, long sleeves and blanket. Sometimes he'd lay there and complain he's cold. It's like, why don't you put some clothes on, put some blankets on? I can't lay here buck-ass naked in front of everybody, all the nurses and visitors. So you got to do something I can't. But at one point, Dana and I happened to be sitting there watching TV. He decided he was going to get up because he had to pee. He finally got up, took all his damn clothes off, pissed on the floor, and then came around the curtain, bare-ass naked. I told Dana, for the love of God, get out of the way. He just pissed the floor. Thank God she was over by the other side of the bed, not looking his direction, Because here he comes, completely naked, walking around, stumbling, pissing the floor. And it wasn't the first time. It happened 2 more times. At one point, because he liked to sleep with the TV on fairly loud and the lights. Good God, when he'd wake up at like 3 or 4 in the morning, all the lights had to be on, including the lights on my side. And if the aide came and turned it off, he came right back over and turned it on. Oh God, I forgot where I was going with that. Oh yeah, one time I don't know how I heard it. He was on the floor, and he was just looking for help. How I heard it, I don't know. But I woke up, saw a leg on the floor, heard him, paged for a nurse. It took 2 hours, but they got him back into bed. They got him cleaned up and everything. I thought for sure they were going to send him back to the hospital or keep him up. Instead, they just kept him up front by the nurse's station to keep an eye on him. And that was another thing that really bothered me. While I was there, Dana's grandfather had come in. And I guess he was, due to his condition, he was a bit problematic in their eyes. So they kept him up at the nurse's station. There were times Dana would come in and find no nurse at the station watching him. He'd be completely slumped over. It got to the point where therapy felt so bad for him. And we're so pissed at the nursing staff and the aides and everything for leaving him like that, that every day when they came in for therapy, they brought him down and had him lay down on the one mat and let him sleep there all day. I mean, the therapy team was the only reason I stayed. They were some of the kindest people I ever met. Some of the most empowering that I ever met when it came to physical therapy. And I can't thank them enough. I really tried to keep this short, but I'm already at like 38 minutes. And I'm not even done yet. During all of this too, I'll talk about the Choir of Chaos first. Now, remember I told you they wanted to sedate me for having that mild freak out? Every damn night, the Choir of Chaos would go off. I had somebody who came in after me next door. Every night just, oh my God, nurse, nurse, nurse. He wouldn't hit the buzzer. That's all he would do for hours. The nurse's station was pretty far away, so they couldn't hear him. So there's this jackass next to me, and then I got Carol across the hall. I pretty much know all their names except him. Carol across the hall, if she had any problems, she wouldn't hit the buzzer either. Just, help me! Help me! It went on for months. And I felt terrible at first. Like, when I first heard her crying for help, thankfully I was able, I wasn't in the wheelchair yet at that point. I wasn't able to use the sliding board or anything, so she carried on the one night so bad. I'm laying there, I hit the buzzer, I said, the woman across the hall needs help. And they go, oh, no, she doesn't. She's just shouting. She's a hypochondriac. She doesn't need anything. Sure enough, she was a hypochondriac. She just wanted attention. Every night, sometimes 4 to 5 times a damn day. Help me! Help me! And if she saw somebody walk by the room, help me! She heard the med cart. Help me! See somebody going into somebody else's room, particularly mine. Oh, please help me! It's that rhythmic help me that drove me out of my fucking mind for months. And further proof she was just fucking doing it for attention. Her roommate's daughter came in the one time, and 2 minutes after she showed, help me! Please help me! Oh my God, will you shut up? Without missing a beat. Oh my God, please help me! Without missing a beat. I burst out so loud that I know the nurses heard me laughing. Because they came in and asked what was so funny. I'm like, just that the quick response, that wit. At one point during the night, she carried on, and she was going off about sitting on eggs or something like that. That she would pay somebody later, and that there was somebody on fire outside. I would feel bad. I would look at that as maybe like some kind of UTI or anything like that, but she had no mental condition. She was there. She had surgery. That's why she was there. And eventually, the therapy was done, but I don't know what happened exactly, and she didn't go home. I think she fell out of bed, and she had to have more surgery, but the insurance wouldn't cover the therapy and she couldn't go home, so she got admitted down to long haul, which was the long-term residents with mental problems. And that was because she kept carrying on, wouldn't hit the buzzer. Not that she had a mental problem, she just refused to hit the buzzer. And then she was begging to come back up to the other wing, and that she would behave herself. Because that wing, I never want to go down that wing again. It was the most depressing, even intimidating thing I had ever witnessed in my life. I actually had, when I went down there for a haircut, they had a stylist that came down every once in a while. She left me at the nurse's station so she can get a soda. One guy in a wheelchair that was by the nurse's station actually stood up and was walking to me with a very, I'm going to fuck you up face. And he wasn't old. He just had, I guess there was something wrong with him mentally. He was unstable. And he looked like he can kick my gimp ass. I won't lie. And then he just sat back down. So, thank God. So she wound up going down there. Eventually, I forget exactly what happened. Oh, no, I do remember. A woman down the hall went for back surgery, and she came back. All damn day, all she did was pray loudly. The moment she woke up until the moment she went to bed. Even in therapy, she was praying. And she was praying for the state of America, praying for a different president, and just whatever else, like just gibberish. Half the stuff we couldn't even figure out. And she was only 2 rooms away. I could hear her perfectly. She finally calmed down, thank God. A lot of people were worried she was at the point where she was going to pass away, but she was a very nice woman. I've seen her son a couple of times while I was there. Very nice people. I'm so happy that she turned out okay, and that was just a traumatic event. There were so many others there. There was one woman further down the road, further down the hall. I can't even get annoyed at this because she really did have a severe case of confusion. And it was just nobody believed me when I told them this until they witnessed it firsthand. Dana, my mother, whoever showed up. But she would just, Mary! 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 That would be her thing. And she would just do it those 3 times. Just like that. Until somebody came in and calmed her down. I felt horrible for her. I really did. And it wasn't so much a bother. It was more like, I genuinely felt bad for this woman. And a little before I left, there was a 19-year-old who, I think she was in a car accident. And it screwed her up mentally. And I'm talking like brain damage to the point where she was essentially nothing more than a 4 or 5-year-old. And that killed me. It really did. I felt horrible for her. And it killed me because she couldn't talk. She didn't know how to. And they gave her a bell. She'd ring the bell. Every time I heard that, my heart would break a little bit more because I'm too young, A, to be in that place, and B, for something like that happen. So, that's about all I can say about the chaos and the nightmare. If this was the whole point of the video. I wanted everybody who watches this to know nursing homes suck. They're not safe at all. For the love of God, if you are going to put somebody in a nursing home, don't. Somehow, unless it's like a dire emergency, there's no other choice, don't send them there. The level of care, it's just not there. The ones that do care get so stressed out. A number of them actually quit because there's just no coverage. And a lot of these nursing homes are just profit. They're only in it for money. They don't care about the people. Honestly, half the nurses there during the daytime only cared if I pooped. They didn't care about anything else. Did you poop today? Yeah. How about you take a look at the frickin' brown chunks in my tube? Oh, you're fine. It was hell. It really was. I spent 6 months in literal hell just so I could be able to walk. And I didn't even walk out of there. I left in a wheelchair that I'm still using. And the only good thing I could say about this place, when it really came down to it, they they did show some compassion. They showed that they cared. A lot of them didn't want me there in the first place. Like, I was too young. That level of, we don't want you here, we want you better at home. But a lot of them would just shrug me off. During my time there, my father passed away. How to explain this? My father apparently had been sick for years, and no one would tell me anything. He wouldn't tell me anything, family wouldn't tell me anything. His sister's husband kind of took me inside one day during a cookout, started to tell me, and then his wife, my godmother, these are my godparents, she came in, so he kind of shut up. So I didn't know what was wrong. My father kept dodging everything, so it pissed me off. Some of the problems that he was telling me were genetic issues, and it was worrying me, like, okay, you're having vision issues, maybe I should know about this. You're having problems walking, maybe I should know about this. I mean, this is something on top of the MS I don't need in the future. So in the last year, he had an antique shop. He kind of stopped going because I knew he was having a hard time walking. My parents split when I was young, and I did not care for the woman he left my mother for, because she was part of the reason for the breakup. The last year, he moved out of his apartment because he was having a hard time getting around, or so I thought, and lived with her. And he asked me a couple of times to come down. I should have. I didn't know he had cancer. The only reason I found out, a few days before, I get a message from his brother telling me I really need to go and see him. He's very sick. So I come to find out he wasn't really going to live much longer, they thought. And I couldn't make it that night. I just couldn't. It was too late. Visiting hours over there were over. But thankfully, like, they even kept telling me, oh, he's fine. The way it was made out initially, he didn't have much time left, but they kept telling me, oh, he's fine. And he's perfectly fine. He's actually going home. Don't worry about him. I'm like, oh, okay, thank God. 2 days later, I get a message saying he's back there and doesn't have much time. So I go and see him. And I got to say goodbye and thank him. The nursing home paid for the transportation for me to go because I didn't have the money. They covered it so I could say goodbye. And I would have stayed with them longer. I could only stay for an hour and a half. But I couldn't because the infectious disease doctor fucked up and I had to come back for the medication for the MRSA and the UTI because the doctor there fucked up and didn't do what she had to do to make sure I was in the best of health. So while I was back in the nursing home getting the IVs, he passed away. I got it 2 hours after the infusion that he passed. As much as I didn't want him to be in pain, I was really hoping I'd get another day. And what's worse, on top of all this, everything was left to me. All his possessions. This isn't me, like, how to put this? Everybody has something to remember my father, a personal item, but me. This is because the landlady for his apartment handled it like an eviction. We still had, from what his girlfriend had told me, they still had 7 days. Family went in. They were cleaning the apartment. Some people took a few things, personal belongings. I said, go right ahead. You know, I have more than enough of his stuff sitting there. If you want something, go ahead and take it. Just, you know, give me a heads up so I know. So there were a few things I wanted to remember my father by. My mother went down there to pick up a few things, and they changed the locks. We were evicted, basically. 2 days after everything was done. It was like over the weekend. After all the cleaning was done, we got evicted. She changed the locks, refused to let us in. She had people coming in, working on the apartment, cleaning it up. They tore out the carpet, from my understanding, and replaced it with hardwood floors. And she wants us to pay for it because apparently there was damage from water that I guess is coming from the roof. If you see pictures of this place, you can tell the building is just in terrible disarray. You can see what looks like holes in some spots. It's just, so she put all her stuff in storage and is holding it hostage, so that way, the repairs can be paid for. So I have nothing of my father's personal belongings at this point. And then the antique shop that I mentioned, the day he died, the landlord went down there and locked us out. And he told me over the phone, don't worry about it. All the stuff is going to be there. Just get better. When you get out, we'll talk about everything then. And I felt like maybe he did have my interests in heart. Okay, if he's going to leave everything there, cool. We'll deal with it. But a few weeks went by. Excuse me. Everything that happened with the landlady, we figured, okay, we'll get in there and get everything straightened out so we're not holding him up. Well, for years I thought I had a half-sister. Not half-sister. Yeah, I'm sorry, half-sister. Almost jumped ahead there. My father always raved about her. And it turns out I didn't. Nobody really knew. I'm not going to get into it, but she wasn't actually a half-sister. And because of the way he talked about her, the landlord used that as an excuse and said that he needed proof that I was the sole heir. So we got him the proof. We got a lawyer, and the proof was mailed. After that, he changed his tune. Can't talk. And then he wanted all the months of rent from when the shop was closed to also wanting the front of the store cleaned up because my father loved growing flowers and plants and everything, so there were flower pots out there. So he wanted, I guess my father, I don't know, he probably owed a month or two max. He wants he wants those months plus all the months after he locked us out. After he locked us out. That's an illegal eviction. This is somebody that has passed away. The family is willing to come and pick up his belongings, and you locked us out, much like the landlady. She locked us out. And the lawyer there, I don't know who her lawyer is, but if he gave her the okay to do that, he's a bad lawyer. Just like the initial lawyer that we had charged us $300 to send 3 letters and then dropped our case after speaking with the landlord. I can't prove it, but I suspect those two were buddy-buddy, or they were working together. He only took our case for a little extra cash. I don't know. So that's the situation there. We are still trying to get into the shop to get my father's stuff there, get it cleared out. And he, for every month that we don't get it cleared out and we don't give him what he wants, he's charging us more rent. So it went from he wanted proof and he'll let us in to I want the rent and I want the front of the shop cleaned up and then I'll let you in. And then he changed the story again to where he wants proof, money, and cleaning. He changed it again at some point. I don't even know what it was. Because I was in the nursing home, I had to give my mother power of attorney because she was the only one that could really go around and do all this. And yeah, he changed the story so much. So right now we're out a lot just from medical expenses, lawyer fees to deal with these freaking yahoos, jackasses, the soulless scum of the area, as I'm calling them. And from all the stress, I went back. At one point, I walked 25 feet in therapy. And I regressed from all the stress I was under from living there for 6 months, from dickhole roommates, from these 2 cunt bags. I'm going to call them that. What I want to call them, I can't even really say. I would feel improper saying. I went backwards. I couldn't even stand at one point. The billing department came in to talk about money that I owed them. I just got off the phone dealing with all this crap. I pulled a chunk of hair right out of my scalp. And I almost went into like maniacal laughter. I scared the hell out of the billing person. And I'm surprised they didn't call in to sedate me. So, since November of last year, I lost my ability to walk. I got it back, thankfully, but I lost my ability to urinate. I lost my self-respect. I had a tube up my dick for 5.5 months. Lost my father. Lost my sanity. Lost everything. Damn near. I may have lost... I don't even have a picture of my father. You know? He was a painter. I don't have a painting my father did. In fact, there was confusion. The painting that's waiting for me is a painting I did that he cherished. All I really have at this moment are some gifts that he gave me. I have old pressings of Dante's Inferno and Paradise Lost. I have a couple pictures that he framed. One is a World War II war depiction that was done by I think it was a German member of the military over there. I think. I forget if it's German or American. I forget. And then this is going to sound pretty stupid. I got a Edgar Allan Poe collection out there, and a small book of funny epitaphs that go on tombstones. Got a book of them. And egg-shaped street chalk. This was the last gift he gave me. This was the last thing, other than cash, for whatever reason, I forget. I'm not really even counting that. But, egg street chalk. And I laughed when he gave it to me, because I didn't realize he had plastic eggs in here. And in the plastic eggs, there were scratch-offs, because he loves scratch-offs, and some cash. I think it was like $50. I intended to actually go out and do something with this, but we never did. This is the valley. It rains constantly when the weather is warm. Now I can't even bring myself to friggin' do anything with it, because it's like the last memory I have of being with my father at a family gathering. One of the last. There were 2 other times. But he was in such rough shape. And, yeah. He didn't stay long. So, I feel like I'm leaving something out. I don't know what it could possibly be. But, yeah, I'll try and make it quick. Pushing an hour. That's where I've been the past 7 months. I've been in hell. My life's not the same. All because my fucking neurologist and his team decided to withhold medication for no fucking reason. And when I went in for the next appointment with my neurologist, he couldn't even look at me. Even the transmed team, when I left, they flat out said, he couldn't even look at you. He knows he screwed up. And he still can't quite look at me. Last time I went to see him, he did. He was a little more upbeat because he saw me in a wheelchair as opposed to having to be wheeled in on a fucking stretcher. It's, Oh, and he told me the PA that screwed me over by denying the medication for a reason I shouldn't have been denied. He told me flat out, oh, he was fired. Who did I fucking see when I left? Came right up to me and said, oh, I'm so happy to see you're in a wheelchair instead of the bed. The fucking PA. Suffice it to say, I'm looking for a new neurologist. And the whole time I went to see him the first time after all that, he was more concerned about getting me off the Tysabri, because if you don't know, Tysabri can, there's another medication they're advertising on TV, it can affect the JC antibody that's in some people. And I, unfortunately, am one of those. I've been on the medication for years now, my level is kind of high, but it's stable. It's not getting higher, it's not getting lower. So they haven't taken me off it. His main focus is getting me off of that. And the reason why, the medication can kill me. I signed a death waiver. It's 100% can kill me. But I chose to sign my life away so I can get the medication and continue walking. And the worst part is I spent 5 years from the last 2 flare-ups that I had. The first one was because my medical insurance denied it. And the second time was because I got sick. Excuse me. I got kicked out of therapy in the hospital too early, and then I got sick a month later and I wound up back in. It wasn't anywhere near this bad. It took like 2 months and I was getting around with a walker. Now I'm stuck in a wheelchair. I can't even freaking walk with a walker. And that brings me to where I'm at now. I still can't get to my father's belongings. You know, I still have nothing personal of his. Just, like I said, the stuff that he gave me as gifts. Still don't have a picture. I'm talking like an actual photograph. Not, I think my, I think his one brother, I keep forgetting, a cousin, he's my cousin. I thank him for shooting over some images online, so I had something. Other than that, I just have nothing of his. You know? I have so much debt. Excuse me, I don't have a tissue handy. So much debt. Lost my ability to walk. I can't go out anywhere. I can't do anything that I like. My cat's friggin' afraid of me at this point. I know it's a minor thing, but she's my kitty, my little girl. Nothing's the same. It's not going to be for a while. And as it stands, that UTI that I had when I left the nursing facility, it's getting better. It's clearing up thanks to the medication I was given. Kidney stones are passing. In-home therapy is doing very well. I stood today without any assistance. I have been since last week, but because of the UTI and everything else going on with how sick I was, I just wasn't able to stand for more than a second or two. Today it was like 35 seconds twice. The third time, I couldn't take my hands off of the wheelchair in order to reach and grab the table with both hands and, you know, do that to ensure I don't fall. So there's that. I'm getting better. And if you haven't gone to the site itself, you'll see I really haven't done anything in the past few months. I haven't been in the right state of mind to review anything. And when I do, it was because, like, all the planets align perfectly. As far as this channel, like I said, I haven't given up. I'm going to keep doing it. I actually have a few things in mind. I got a couple games lined up. I have a review code for another game. I'm going to tackle that probably next week. Or maybe this weekend. I don't know. But expect more gaming videos on here. The metal aspect, I think I'm going to kind of step away from it for a little while. Just because, again, I'm not in the right state of mind to sit there and be critical about anything. I might do laid-back reviews, basically like, not a first impression, but I listened to it a few times. I'm just going to talk about it, and that's it. I did one article like that already, but I haven't done any more. I want to get back into doing radio stuff. I miss doing it, so I want to start doing some podcasts. I've already sent out some requests to use music. I'm going to focus on Twitch as well, live streams, branching out with people to start doing some gaming together. Friday the 13th, probably next week, I'm going to pick up the game and start doing some videos on that. Everything is starting to finally fall back into place. It's going to take a little while yet, but I've been coming around. I'm not as depressed. I'm a little more upbeat overall. It's just, I need sleep. I just can't get to sleep. I gotta go back to work soon too, because the medical assistance I was on that was paying for much of this, I still gotta call them. That's what I forgot to do today. Still gotta call them and ask when the hell I apparently said I don't want the coverage anymore, because I got a cancellation letter in the mail saying that I had contacted them and said I don't want the coverage anymore, and they're dropping me, which is not what I did. I called, asked. It's not what I did. Let me just say it that way. The way I just said it sounded like I did. I did not call and ask that. I was asking, what does it cover, and can I get a copy of the card myself? Because the nursing home kept all that information. They didn't give me anything. So, yeah. That's where I stand right now. I'm getting there. I'll eventually be back on my feet. Gotta go back to work a little earlier than I thought, just because I need the cash. You know, I got all these bills and everything. Gotta pay lawyer fees because these fucking cunt bags think they could just circumvent the law to their own discretion, their own wants and needs, and continue to push and delay to try and get more money out of me. That's basically what it's coming down to. As you can see, Dana constantly walking by the door. I should have closed it. I mean, it's been rough, but I'm finally bouncing back a bit. So you will see more stuff appearing on this channel, appearing on Twitch, appearing on the site. So you just got to give me a little more time. Shouldn't take too much longer for videos to start popping up, but they're not going to be anywhere near as frequent as they were. So I think I rambled on way too much about this. I just want to get all this off my chest, give you all a heads up, and just really push not sending anybody to nursing homes. If you could afford to send a loved one to like an apartment facility for the elderly where they have somebody on call for emergencies, I would definitely do that. A nursing home is not a place for anyone. It was the most miserable experience of my life. And even the elderly people that are there who had other elderly people to talk to were completely miserable. It was a madhouse, much like the Anthrax song. It was a total fucking madhouse. It's just... And it's all because of the way the laws are written. I think a lot of these people who wrote those laws need to stay at a nursing home and see exactly what happens. And there needs to be further investigations, I think, into some of these places. Because I tell you what, for as long as this video is, this is how long I chewed off the one government inspector's ear with all the problems. And the only thing that came back, response time was a little too long, so they installed a camera to monitor everything. That didn't change anything. And another time they came out, oh, you're over-bleaching the mattresses. That was it. Even when the guy said the place was filthy, the bathroom was terrible, the level of care wasn't good, they got away with it. They were fine. I think there were payoffs made. I won't lie. They came back and said, oh, everybody's happy here, and I'm just looking at her like, I think there's only like 3 or 4, but they're delusional people to begin with. They have mental problems. They don't know any better. Staff is not happy. Residents weren't happy. I mean, it was miserable. It was a terrible, terrible place. House full of death. People were dying like every week. And the level of care was not there to try and support anybody through it all, you know? As I said earlier, one person just ignored symptoms of a stroke. And she didn't get anything. She didn't get written up. She didn't get a leave of absence. She just came back the next day and was fine. You know, this woman had a stroke and almost died because of her neglect. But because of the way the law is, she got away with it. I don't know. I really don't know what to say. Other than, please, for the love of God, if you love somebody, unless it's absolutely necessary, do not send them to a nursing home. And if they complain, if you do, fucking look into it. So many people complain to family members and they say, oh, you're making it up. One, I stopped in the hall while I was out there and just said, look, this person's not making it up. And I flat out told them I was here that night. And that's when they started believing her. A lot of what is said about these places, it's true. And a lot of what the residents will say is true. And I tell you what, I'm going to be 32 soon. Staying there is going to haunt me until the day I die. It really is. Thank you for sitting through this. If you made it this far, I commend you, and I thank you very much. I thank you for lending me an ear to vent, to get all this off my chest. I appreciate it. The videos will commence again soon. I don't know what else. For now, everything is up in the air. So, please, I thank everybody who stayed subscribed. I'm going to do what I can to try and keep myself preoccupied. I'm going to try and keep you guys entertained the best I can. And try like hell to just have a lot of fun doing it. Till the next time, take care. Stay out of nursing homes.